up there? Alright, so looks like this particular week we're going to be a little bit more quieter. So take on myself so that you guys can watch it later. Excuse me while see on my phone if that would take me in there. So I did. Alright. So, welcome everybody. It's y'all welcome. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining me as we busy going through the book of Romans. And yeah, let's get stuck into it. This week we're going to be pretty fast. We only got half an hour that we're going to be able to spend together. So due to other constraints and commitments that I have tonight at 7 o'clock. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. Really appreciate it. Good to have you guys here. And let's get stuck into it. So last week we ended up at stopping round about Romans 1 verse 12, where let me just make sure my microphone's on. Okay, fantastic. So we ended up at Romans 12, where it was talking about Romans 1 verse 12, that I'll be comforted, and we were talking about how as mature Christians we all have something to bring to the conversation, and it is our responsibility, not only responsibility but our privilege, to be able to build each other up. And if you ever look there at verse 12, it says, that is, that I with you may be comforted in you, each of us by the other's faith, both yours and mine. And we explored that whole thing. Verse 13 says, and I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that oftentimes I purposed to come to you, and was hindered hitherto, that I might have some fruit in you also, even as in the rest of the Gentiles. I am a debtor both to Greeks and to barbarians, both to the wise and the foolish. So, as much as is in me, I am ready to preach the gospel to you also that are in Rome. That's just wrapping up. And I think we did cover this last week. Okay, so that's just basically wrapping it up and saying, all right, I really want to come to you. I want to deposit in you that which I have, and because I am indebted to the Greeks and the Romans, the barbarians, the wise and the foolish. So he's saying this gospel is for everybody, all right? And as much as that is in me, and the stuff that is inside of me, I am wanting to and ready to preach the gospel to you that are in Rome. So we see that Epimea, he's saying that long before Paul saw the face of those Christians in Rome, he had been led out in prayer for them. He had won the battle before entering the battlefield. How noble it was of the apostles' part to say that his faith was strengthened by their faith, as theirs by his. And there's wonderful give and take in the service of God. Each of us helps or hinders, and nobody is neutral. I like that. Nobody is neutral. You're either for me or against me. Where does it say that? Let's have a look at sorry, I've got to just get you there with me, that you follow me. Alright, so you're either for me or against me. Matthew 12 verse 20, 12 verse 30. If you're not with me, you're against me. Unless you're gathering the flock, you're scattering it. Okay, so if we have a look at Romans 12 verse 30 here, Matthew 12 verse 30, sorry, got Romans on the brain. American Standard Version says, therefore, he that is not with me is against me, and he that gathereth not with me scattereth. Okay, so Paul is basically picking up on this that Jesus put out there. I just want to see cross references, 12 verse Romans. Why is it saying Romans when I'm in Matthew? Interesting. Ah, there we go. Matthew 12 verse 30 says, no man can serve two masters. So this is in Matthew 6. So we are busy exploring Paul's statement in Romans of, not Paul's statement, Epimaia's statement in Romans. Where it says none is neutral, right? There is a wonderful give and take in the service of God. Each of us helps or hinders. None is neutral, right? So that's Epimaia's statement, and now we are both exploring this and biblically backing it up, all right? And so the first place we go to is Matthew chapter 12, and we go to verse 30, where Jesus is saying this. He says, he that is not against me, he that is not with me is against me, and he that gathereth not with me scattereth. All right. If we look at the cross-reference to this verse, there's a couple here. We've got Joshua 5 verse 13. Joshua 5 verse 13 says, and it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with a sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went up to him and said unto him, are you with us, or for our adversaries? And the angel then replies and goes, neither. I am with God. I am with God. So you're either with God or you're not. Simple as that. So, and then we've got 1 Chronicles 12 verse 17 to 18. What's this one? Joshua 24:15 says, and if it seem evil unto you to serve Jehovah, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your forefathers served, that were beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve Jehovah. Very dichotomous there. And in 1 Chronicles 12, and David went out to meet them and answered and said to them, if you come peacefully to me, to help me, my heart will be knit with you. But if you come to betray me to my adversaries, seeing there is no wrong in my hands, the God of our fathers look thereon and rebuke it. Then the Spirit came upon Amasai, who was chief of the 30, and he said, thine are we, David, and on thy side, thou son of Jesse, peace, peace be unto thee, and peace be to your helpers, for thy God helpeth thee. Then David received them and made them captains. So yeah, we've got guys choosing. Mark 9 verse 40 says, for he that is not against us is for us. Luke 9 verse 50 says, but Jesus said, forbid him not, for he that is not against you is for you. And that's an interesting one. A whole new whole theology right there, that thing. He that is not with me is against me, and he that gathereth not, and that's in Luke, so it's obviously Luke and Mark quoting the same there. 2 Corinthians 6 verse 15 to 16 says, and what concord has Christ with Belial? Or what portion has a believer with an unbeliever? And what agreement has a temple of God with idols? For we are the temple of the living God. Even as God said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. All right. And then, wow, whole bunch there about there's no neutral ground. Either you are God, and now that brings up the whole thing about being unequally yoked with unbelievers, both in marriage and in business and all that kind of stuff. Where do you draw the line between partnering with somebody who doesn't believe the same as you in any respect of life, whether it's business, marriage, sport? I don't know. Pick one. How does that play out in your theology? 1 John 2 verse 19. Okay, I'm just going through the cross references for this particular one about there's no neutral ground. All right. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that they are not of us. So 1 John 2 verse 19, we'd have to dig a little bit deeper there to see what that was about. I don't want to go there right now. It's a discussion for another time. And then in Revelation 3 verse 15 to 16, I know thy works, that thou art neither hot nor cold. I would have it that you are either hot or cold. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot or cold, I will spew you out of my mouth. And that has always been a very difficult scripture for me. Like if you're cold, you're going to lose anyway. So being lukewarm is the same as being cold. You're going to lose. You're going to be out of it. So yeah, that's that part of it. All right, so back to Romans. Romans 1 verse 16. All right, for I am not ashamed. Now this is going to take the rest of the 15 minutes, I'm sure of it. I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believes, to first the Jew and also to the Greek. First the Jew and also the Greek. For I am not ashamed of the gospel. Wow. For I am not ashamed. The psalmist David talks about, I have proclaimed glad tidings of righteousness in great assembly. I will not refrain my lips. O Jehovah, thou knowest, I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy righteousness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great assembly. Here is David busy proclaiming in Psalm 40 that he has not hidden himself. He's not ashamed of the gospel. I just want to quickly shrink myself over here, if you don't mind, so that I'm not there anymore. Then we can keep talking there. 1 Corinthians 2 verse 20. Let's go further. So Psalm 46. My mouth will tell of your righteousness and of thy salvation all the day, for I know not the number thereof. I will come with the mighty acts of the Lord Jehovah. I will make mention of thy righteousness, even of thine only. Wow. American Standard Version talking very highfalutin English, but what he's saying was, I don't know how long I'm going to live, so I'm going to proclaim the Lord. Paul says in Romans 1 verse 16, I am not afraid of the gospel, for it is the power. So I'm just going to go for I am. Whoever will be ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man shall be ashamed of him when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. Mark 8 verse 38. I am not ashamed. You cannot be ashamed. We've been called to proclaim that which we've been told, be ready in season and out to make mention of the hope and to defend the hope that is within you. I don't know where that is by memory, but yeah. Excuse me. All right, so that's that. What is the gospel? Well, I am not ashamed. I want to look at this. I'm feeling that I want to just dig into this word ashamed. So let's just have a look at what the Strongest Concordance of the word ashamed is. If we have a look down at the bottom here, we'll see it's the word epai skonomahi, which is to feel shame of something, to be ashamed. And it's from epi, which is a primary preposition, properly meaning superimposition of time, place, as a relation to a distribution. So I'm just quickly reading this thing. To feel disgrace, disfigurement. It's as if you are disfigured, right? So talking about being disfigured, it has that kind of annotation, association with this word. Epahi skonami, okay, to be ashamed. He is not ashamed of the gospel. Remember, we're going back to Mark 8:38, where it says, "Whoever is ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also will I be ashamed." That is something that I never, ever, ever want to be said of me. I know personally that I've withheld my tongue in certain, what should I call, company. And okay, whenever it changes over to my big camera, then it has this whole thing playing out. But I know that I've withheld myself in certain companies. I think of Peter, who just during Christ's crucifixion gets confronted 7 times, and he denies him. He is ashamed of him. Here's the thing. We can have moments of fear, moments of it being embarrassed and that, but if we push in, we keep coming back. Peter and Judas both betrayed Jesus on the night that he was crucified. Judas, he feels ashamed. He feels shame. And what's the other word I'm looking for? Anyway, he doesn't feel remorse. Peter feels remorse. Peter repents. Judas kills himself. That's the difference. And I think in this particular element, we're talking of being ashamed of the gospel, is a proper shame, like not repenting, but constantly just, that's it, not being for God. I mean, how can we be ashamed of that thing which set us free? You know, that's one of the major thoughts that kind of are getting me at that time. So I am not ashamed, and I hope that you too will not be ashamed. Of the gospel, all right? And we've spoken plenty of times about the gospel. I spoke with Alethea last time, telling her what the gospel was, the gospel of God in verse 1. Okay, you separated the gospel of God. We went into the whole thing of the gospel. What is the gospel? The gospel is the good news of Jesus Christ crucified. Now, that brings me to the question I've been asking. I had a ministry this morning in the prison, and the question that I asked the guys is, why did Jesus have to die? Why did he have to be crucified? And I'm going to end today's session simply because we're out of time. But I'm going to end today's session with that thing. So I'm not ashamed of the gospel. The gospel is the good news that Christ died for you on a cross. My question to you, I'm going to leave it with you, is why did Christ have to die? Could there not have been another way that God could have saved humanity? Why did he have to die? And number 2, why did he have to die on a cross? You know, surely they could have just stabbed him or shot him with a bow and arrow or something. All right, that's my thought to you. Thank you very much for listening to this short one. We only covered half a verse today, for I'm not ashamed of the gospel. Next week we'll pick it up again and hopefully get a bit more done. Have a wonderful evening, guys, and yeah, bless you all.